Welcome everyone to the SERL American Ethanol Series Season 2 Race 22 at Dover International Speedway. This is the second race of the weekend and the second race of the Dover triple header. And what have we learned so far based on the event a season ago and the Domino's Pizza Truck Series event? Well, I think we learned a couple things. One, I think we could be in for a mixture of several cautions and long green flag runs, even though last season's event only had 2 cautions, one at the very beginning and one at the very end. We can also expect a couple. We can also expect many comers and goers. We can also expect lapped traffic or just slower traffic if we get into a long green flag run, which I have this feeling that we will. And that kind of traffic really affected the outcome of the race, and I think that's how Payne Keys went on to win. Because Payne Keys, he did not have the best car, but lap traffic got in the way of Dale Scott, Eric Almerhart, and I think a few other drivers in Dale, not Dale Scott. Payne Keys chose the right line, and there you go. He goes on to win the race. I think that we could see the same thing today. I also think that you might be wondering where are the trouble spots? Well, it seems like the trouble spots are exiting the corners, and because the straightaways on both sides are banked at 11 degrees, this track is very slow cleaning. Whatever starts on the top eventually goes down and sometimes goes right up across the racetrack and collects more drivers. We saw a couple of multi-car incidents in the Domino's Pizza Truck Series event, and some of them were pretty violent and just devastating. And I think that this race could also affect the championship picture, which is still the same 3 drivers that I've talked about the past 2 weeks. Dale Scott, the points leader, has yet to win, but he did come close to winning yesterday, so maybe that'll give him some momentum. Dean Orton is second place in points, and he is a total of 23 points out of the points lead, so it's going to take a lot. So he's going to have a good day and hope that Dale Scott fails. Andrew Gorman in the 22, he's been very strong this season, but I'm just not exactly seeing like the same level of speed. Like I don't think that he's been like as consistent as Dale Scott or Dean Orton. So I think that Andrew Gorman he might need a little bit of luck on side. And also, who won this event last season? Well, it was Aiden Saunders. And after this race a season ago, I thought that Aiden Saunders might sweep the weekend, but even though he did not, Dover, I think, is one of his best racetracks based on his overall record in the SERL. Now, he did flip last season, but I think that because he starts on the inside lane, he might be someone to watch out for, as long as he does not get in trouble. But at Dover National Speedway, there's not really a safe spot. I mean, we saw crashes up front. We've seen crashes in the back of the field. We've kind of seen it all. Oh yeah, and also last week's event at Morgan Woods, the first ever race at Morgan Woods, Torin Deeter started on the pole. He went on to lead every single lap and went on to win the race. And look at this, he starts on the pole once again, so maybe he can go back to back. Anyway, now let's get the cars rolling off. Another thing that I think is worth mentioning before we take the green flag is that there are currently 7 drivers that are at risk of being mathematically eliminated from the championship. Now, the reason why I'm pointing this out is because I did it in the Truck Series event, and I feel like that even though we've already eliminated a couple drivers, I think that this is something that I think I'll be doing in all 3 series until we get to the season finale. So here is the starting lineup. Aiden Saunders, last season's winner, starts 15th. Torin Deeter, last week's winner, starts on the pole and led every single lap. And anyway, those 7 drivers that I mentioned: Philip Goldberg, Arch Hossain, the 20, Payne Keys, Randy O'Neill, Ben Braley, Nick Swift, and Alan Gray. Those are the 7 drivers, and depending on where Dale Scott, Dean Orton, or Andrew Gorman finish, it could eliminate more drivers. Who knows? And I think that today is going to be a wild race. It was kind of like that in the Truck Series, and I think that with how fast these cars are, it could get pretty intense. Here we go. Green flag is out, and Torin Deeter, he gets a great start. And now everyone is going to be fighting for the bottom lane. Jacob Reed now goes to the inside. And we're just going to see. I think that the backstretch could be a big problem today, because the backstretch is, I think it's more narrow than the front stretch. And it's so easy to make contact coming off a turn number 2, and it looks like that we actually get to the first lap clean green. Now what about the second lap? It feels like we are at Daytona or Talladega with how we are racing. And now Jacob Reed, he's now on the bumper of Torin Deeter. When is he gonna make the pass? Looking to the inside, he takes it. And behind them, I see Dean Orton. He's ahead of Dale Scott. Now what Dean Orton needs to do is that he needs to somehow find a way to keep Dale Scott behind them, which right now that doesn't look like the case. Dale Scott to the inside of Dean Orton. Behind them, further behind them, we have Andrew Gorman here stuck on the outside, not going forward, but going backwards. Dean Orton maintains his position ahead of Dale Scott. Torin Deeter has now all of a sudden lost the lead, and now it's Jacob Reed, Charles Belding in the 87. This is the driver that has mostly struggled overall in the series in both seasons, and the caution is out. The caution is out. It was a 4. Johnny Mills, Cameron Blake, Nick Smith. Oh, for a second I thought another caution was out. Lisa Gonzalez, she also has a good amount of damage. And I mentioned the backstretch, and it looks like that's where this crash occurred, based on these, based on the tire marks. And Jacob Reed, he continues to lead. Let's take a look and see what happened. Entering turns 1, 2, Garrett Sinner decides to go to the high side, but it feels like that at the last second he decided to change his lane, which I feel like at this early in the race is not that smart of a thing to do. Him and Lisa Gonzalez make contact. Garrett Sinner spins in front of O'Neill Balvin. Garrett Sinner goes into the outside wall, collects O'Neill Balvin. Cameron Blake in the 84. He has nowhere to go. Johnny Mills is trying to slow down in time, but he can't. He just has nowhere to go. And I think Nick Smith, Jonas Smith Jr., and Payne Keys all got some cosmetic damage. And I think maybe Blaine Keys as well. And overall, it looks like that a couple of these drivers with damage are a couple of the 7 drivers that are trying to not get mathematically eliminated, but looks like that with them being involved in this crash, that takes that right out of the picture. Now let's go on board some drivers. Interesting fact: sometimes they call the backstretch the concrete canyon. This has kind of been Lisa Gonzalez's season, and with her being in this wreck, she might fall to outside of the top 25 in points. The hole was open, and then all of a sudden the hole closed up. As some probably expected, Cameron Blake, Lisa Gonzalez, and Johnny Mills, the 3 drivers that received the most damage, are officially out of the race, and so now we have just 39 drivers on the lead lap. And Jacob Reed, who took the lead away from Torin Deeter before the caution came out, will be our leader, but now he has Charles Belding behind him, and this is not a familiar spot for Charles Belding to be. I feel like most of the time Charles Belding is around like 25th. But anyway, now let's see if Charles Belding can maybe get his first career win. Charles Belding yesterday in the Dominus Pizza Truck Series event had a very wild ride entering turn 3 where he was upside down. Charles Belding is now. I think he thought it was taking the lead, but then all of a sudden he just couldn't do it in time. And now here comes Phil Goldberg, the Kansas winner. Dale Scott trying to go somewhere. He has Dean Orton right behind him. And to the outside of these drivers, the pole center, Torin Deeter, and Biff Crafton in the 62. And now look at this. Phil Goldberg is now our leader. Let's see how long he can stay there. As they come out of turn number 2, here comes Dale Scott looking to make a 3 wide. It looks like Dale Scott might have one of the best cars out to the entire field. And Dale Scott, this is a driver that, despite the success, he's been the points leader ever since race 7. He has yet to win. His 2 closest competitors, Dean Orton and Andrew Gorman, have wins. And to me, it feels like Dale Scott. It feels like that every time Dale Scott has a good run and is leading, he somehow doesn't have the car in like the second half of the race. I think Dale Scott is looking to change that, but looks like that it may not be easy because Philip Goldberg he is just sailing away. And behind them, as they go through this field, Ian Saunders, I mentioned, won the race a season ago. He's okay. They now go back to 2 wide. Jim Kelly, he's won twice this season. Him and Johnny Mills are the only multiple winners this season. And overall, the field is doing a very nice job at being very clean. But this could all change in a minute. And anyway, Andrew Gorman, he is just falling back here. I don't really know. His car is just evil. Jim Kelly is now on the high side. Randy O'Neal trying to go forward. And it looks like that maybe Dale Scott is starting to close in on the lead. What is the margin this time? Okay, the margin grew, but I think Dale Scott was closing in that lap before. So Philip Goldberg in the 18, the Kansas winner. I think this time Philip Goldberg, he wants to win based on I think this time Philip Goldberg, he wants to win without making dumb mistakes, because if you remember Kansas, Ryan Casey was on the pole. Philip Goldberg started 3rd place. Philip Goldberg, I felt like was being too aggressive too early, and he basically turned Ryan Casey, and Ryan Casey went for a spin, and Ryan Casey would not be able to finish the rest of the race. Philip Goldberg went on to win, and I think at this time Philip Goldberg, he wants to do something different. Oh, behind me here, I heard smoke. The caution is out here as some drivers are in the grass. Oh, watch out! I cannot tell who wrecked here. Oh my gosh, another crash! Ahead of them, Jonas Fast Jr., Matt Hotchkiss, John Martin gets in damage. Oh, Blaine Keys and Nick Smith. I think that's oh my gosh, here. Right in front of the leaders as they were closing on in. Oh, that can have been very bad. So it looks like that Cameron Garlington, he is in the garage, so maybe this all started with him. This could have been a very bad crash, but thankfully it wasn't. So what happened here is that I think Tony Valerio, Jim Kelly, and Torin Deeter, they all just pitch each other. First Torin Deeter goes into Arch Hassan, and then Jim Kelly spins. And look at this. Look at the amazing job that everyone does to avoid this. Now up ahead, what happened up here? Oh, Matt Hotchkiss, he came up on the racetrack carrying too much speed because he was on the apron. Collects John Martin, then Blaine Keys, Nick Smith, and Jim Kelly just they couldn't slow down in time and had nowhere to go. And look at how close Philip Goldberg, Dale Scott, and Charles Belding all came to hitting Jonas Smith Jr. That could have been a very bad crash, and that could have taken them all out of the race. How low can he go? I think William Bedford will. How low can he go? I think William Bedford will show us that. Austin Kennedy had front row seat of this, and I think someone behind him that couldn't react in time actually put Austin Kennedy in the wall. From a spectator looking at turn number 1. Nick Smith, Jonas Maps Jr., Cameron Garlington, and Blaine Keys are the newest additions to the garage, and still no lapped cars, which I'm kind of surprised by, because I feel like that once we get lapped cars, or if we get lapped cars, they will restart on the inside, and with how vital the bottom groove is at Dover National Speedway, things could get disastrous, but we'll just see. So the last green flag run, that actually lasted longer than what I've normally we've seen so far at Dover National Speedway. I thought, but by this point we actually would have had like 3 or 4 cautions. But anyway, Philip Goldberg not able to really pull away. And now look at this. I think Dale Scott. I think he's waiting. To make a move. As this top 5 has now pulled away from everyone else. Charles Belding, he was peaking, but couldn't make the move. Andrew Gorman, he's trying to make his way up front. And Dale Scott is trying to catch those first 5 drivers. And now Philip Goldberg, he's not pulling away. Charles Belding and Abe Troxell trying to tell Dale Scott, hey, we are here. In the meantime, all this side by side has allowed Philip Goldberg to pull away. Behind them, we have Jacob Reed, Biff Crafton side by side. Alan Gray is pushing him. And Ian Saunders and Daniel Oils trying to get themselves inside the top 10. And now Dean Orton, he's now caught this this pack of what was once 5 drivers looking to the inside. Club Crafton, and I gotta say, for Club Crafton, this is a very great run for a driver that has spent, I think, the majority of the season dead last in points. I think that really shows how rough of a season he has had, and he has had some bad luck. The thing I can remember the most about him is that he was having a good day at Old Spice. Could have finished inside the top 2, but got taken out by, I think it was Andrew Gorman. Philip Goldberg continues to lead, and now it's coming to inside of 10 laps to go. So it looks like that lapped car restarting on the inside thing. It looks like that is not going to happen, because when we have restarts inside of 10 laps to go, the drivers that are 1 lap down or will restart 1 lap down, they will restart at the tail end of the field. It's how it works in this game. But it looks like that. At this rate, is anyone going to be able to catch Philip Goldberg? Possibly not at all. As Charles Belding, he's still trying to get by Dale Scott, and I feel like that because Dale Scott has had to worry about Charles Belding and Abe Troxell, it's caused him to, I think, lose ground. Dean Orton got by Club Crafton, but looks like that it's going to cost any chance of him winning this race. And looks like now the field is starting to get more single file. And how about this? Andrew Gorman trying to recover from, I think, the lowest position he's been all day long, which was, I think, 25th. And behind them, they're getting very antsy. Abe Troxell, Evan Paula, and Austin Kennedy. Watch out. Slight contact, I think, was made. But they are all keeping together. I gotta say, maybe what's helping Club Crafton is the experience gained from the Domino's Pizza Trucks event. You know, because in that race he started, I think he started 20th and finished 2nd in that race. And now I just noticed that Charles Belding has now taken 2nd away from Dale Scott, but with only 6 laps to go, I think it might be impossible for him to catch Philip Goldberg if we stay green the rest of the way. And with Matt Hotchkiss there and Philip Goldberg here, I don't think Philip Goldberg is going to really catch any lap traffic. Charles Belding, he did gain a 10th that time, but here comes Dale Scott to the side of him, but he just cannot make the pass. I think Philip Goldberg, he has this in the bag, because I think that even if a caution comes out right now, it's actually going to end the race. So I guess some last second things to polish up on here. I did mention that there were 7 drivers that are trying to not get mathematically eliminated. Alan Gray is one of those drivers. However, I feel like that with Dale Scott, who is most likely going to finish inside the top 5, more specifically 2nd. Drivers like Alan Gray who are still on the racetrack are gonna have zero chance of staying alive. And to me, it's not just these 7 drivers. I said in the previous show that if Dale Scott could get a great finish, it might eliminate more drivers. So you might want to check right now to see where you are in points by watching last week's video at Morgan Woods. Check where you are in the points, and if you're around Arsh Hassan or Alan Gray, you could be in some serious trouble. As Philip Goldberg, even though he's probably going to get mathematically eliminated because Dale Scott is right behind him, I think that this could be the start of just a late string of great finishes. Final lap, heading into turns 3 and 4. First it was Torin Deeter. And then I think Philip Goldberg got past him, and Philip Goldberg has led every single lap since then. Coming out of turn number 4 as someone spun, Philip Goldberg takes the checker flag, his second win of the season, and I felt like this time he really earned it because he raced smart, he raced very clean, etc. Now what happened? So this is what happened. So right around 15th, I think the first contact was between Andrew Gorman and Connor Breton, and yep, that's what happened here. Down into Randy O'Neal, and Andrew Gorman, who came into this event 3rd place in points, he's gonna lose a lot of positions because look at everyone going right past him. Andrew going right in front of the racetrack, and oh my goodness, Cameron Blake got some damage. Ryan Casey. So this is actually a pretty big crash. Payne Keys gets some damage along with Kendall Maynor. And actually, let's go on board some drivers. As look at this. Look at how quickly you can fall. Torin Deeter led the first opening laps. Looks like that he is going to finish maybe outside the top 35. That is how quickly you can lose ground at Dover National Speedway. This is not what Andrew Gorman needed at all. He hits the wall, and by hitting that wall, he comes right back up across the racetrack into Cameron Blake and many other drivers. There were actually quite a few drivers that started great, but are going to finish pretty poorly, and Bill Crafton is another one of those drivers, and I feel like that this is a good sign for the Hot Wheels for the drivers that are competing in the Hot Wheels Cup Series, that you got to have a good car throughout the whole event, and you have to try your hardest to maintain your position. I guess the way the caution came out, drivers like Andrew Gorman and Bill Crafton aren't actually going to lose positions. They're actually going to finish right where they were, I guess, at the time of the caution. But anyway, so here is the bottom half of the field. So overall, some pretty big disappointments. Most notably, Torin Deeter. Who, like I said, started on pole, led the opening laps, and then once he lost the lead, his car must have not have been. It must have not been a good car in dirty air. But well, this was a very interesting weekend. But I gotta say, I'm so happy that I was able to get this race completed, because this race has taken me, like, I don't know, like 10 tries to like record, because of just like several issues of not getting the race right. I know I've said that. I think I've said that a couple times recently, but it feels like that. I don't know. It's like you never know how these races are going to turn out, and often you have to do a whole lot of like, it's like you have to like do a race, then it's like you have to like change it to get it right, and etc. But anyway, I would like to thank everyone for watching this race. Be sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and bye. Congrats to Philip Goldberg.